When a royal couple's holiday special becomes their final act on the world's biggest streaming platform, what does that tell us about a fairy tale gone wrong? For decades, the world has watched royal marriages unfold behind palace walls, seeing glimpses of joy and tragedy, devotion and distance. But rarely have we witnessed a modern royal relationship play out so publicly, so dramatically, and with such devastating consequences. What did Meghan Markle and Prince Harry really want when they stepped away from royal duties in January 2020? What were they hoping to build in their new California life? And why, after a reported $100 million Netflix deal, has it all come crashing down in such spectacular fashion? Join us as we uncover the shocking truth behind the couple's final Netflix chapter, the marriage crisis that insiders say has been years in the making, and the stunning moment when the streaming giant quietly but decisively said goodbye to their highest-profile royal talent. It all began quietly in late November 2024, when Netflix released what would become Meghan Markle's swan song, a cooking and lifestyle special titled With Love, Meghan. The show was meant to launch on January 15, 2025, positioning Meghan as the next lifestyle guru in the tradition of Martha Stewart or Gwyneth Paltrow. But in a move that stunned industry insiders, the streaming platform released the special early, with minimal fanfare, burying it among their December holiday programming. No major press tour, no splashy premiere, no viral marketing campaign. The message was clear, even if unspoken. As one entertainment industry analyst noted in early December 2024, Netflix's treatment of Meghan's special represented a quiet but unmistakable distancing from a partnership that had promised so much but delivered so little. The special itself, filmed throughout 2023 at a rented mansion in Montecito, California, featured the Duchess attempting to recreate the warm, nostalgic holiday atmosphere she claimed defined her childhood. But viewers and critics alike saw something else entirely. An uncomfortable display of privilege wrapped in the language of authenticity, a performance of domesticity that rang hollow against everything the public knew about Meghan's actual family relationships. The most damning moment? When Meghan, standing before a sparsely decorated Christmas tree, spoke about how holiday ornaments tell the story of a family's journey, how they capture memories and mark the passage of time through different chapters of life. She waxed poetic about nostalgia, about family traditions, about the meaningful connections that define the season. Yet nowhere in her perfectly curated holiday display was there any acknowledgement of her father, Thomas Markle. No photo, no ornament, no mention of the man who had raised her as a single parent after her parents' divorce, who had worked double shifts as a lighting director in Hollywood to afford her private school education, who had walked her down the aisle at countless school events and celebrations. Royal commentators and body language experts who reviewed the footage noted something striking about the single brief appearance Prince Harry made in the special. He appeared uncomfortable, almost reluctant, as he delivered what seemed like a contractually obligated cameo. When Meghan thanked him for showing up to her fake house and fake kitchen, the words carried an edge that viewers couldn't quite place. Was it playful? Was it pointed? The awkwardness hung in the air, impossible to ignore. But to understand how a couple once celebrated as the modernizers of the monarchy, as the future of the royal family, came to this moment of professional and personal crisis, we need to travel back to where it all began. Back to July 25, 2017, when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle were first photographed together at the Invictus Games in Toronto. Back to November 27, 2017, when Kensington Palace announced their engagement with a statement that began, "His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales is delighted to announce the engagement of Prince Harry to Miss Meghan Markle." Back to May 19, 2018, when millions around the world watched as they exchanged vows at St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, believing they were witnessing the beginning of a royal love story for the ages. Meghan Markle arrived in the United Kingdom as an accomplished woman in her own right. At 36 years old, she had spent 7 seasons starring in the legal drama Suits, building a career in Hollywood on her own terms. She ran a lifestyle blog called The Tig, where she shared recipes, fashion advice, and personal reflections with hundreds of thousands of followers. She was a divorced woman, biracial, American, outspoken about social justice issues. Everything about her represented a departure from the traditional royal bride. Prince Harry, meanwhile, had spent his entire life trying to escape the shadow of tragedy. He was just 12 years old on August 31st, 1997, when his mother, Diana, Princess of Wales, died in a car crash in Paris. That loss defined him, shaped him, drove every decision he would make in the decades that followed. In interviews years later, Harry would describe how he struggled with mental health, how he felt trapped by the institution of the monarchy, how he desperately wanted to protect any future partner from the invasive press attention that he believed had killed his mother. According to royal biographers who covered the early days of their relationship, Harry was immediately drawn to Meghan's confidence, her independence, her willingness to speak her mind. She seemed fearless in ways that both attracted and concerned palace officials. In their engagement interview in November 2017, Harry spoke about knowing she was the one almost from the moment they met. He described camping under the stars in Botswana just weeks into their relationship, finding peace and normalcy away from the public eye. Meghan, for her part, spoke about not knowing much about the royal family before meeting Harry, admitting she'd never Googled him before their first date. That admission would later be questioned by those who knew Meghan's history. Friends from her acting days noted that she had expressed interest in British culture and even visited London multiple times in the years before meeting Harry. Her former blog posts revealed knowledge of the royal family and admiration for their charitable work. But in those early days, the narrative of the American actress who stumbled into a royal romance by accident held powerful appeal. It made their love story seem spontaneous, fated, magical. The wedding on May 19, 2018, seemed to confirm that magic. An estimated 1.9 billion people worldwide tuned in to watch Meghan walk down the aisle, first accompanied by Prince Charles after her own father withdrew at the last moment following a tabloid scandal. The ceremony blended royal tradition with personal touches that reflected Meghan's heritage, including a stirring address by Bishop Michael Curry and performances by the Kingdom Choir. Prince William served as best man. Kate, the Princess of Wales, attended with their children, including Prince George and Princess Charlotte, who served as page boy and bridesmaid. The Queen was there, smiling, welcoming this new member into the family with apparent warmth. For a brief, shining moment, it seemed possible that Meghan would help modernize the monarchy, bringing new energy and perspective to an institution criticized for being out of touch with contemporary Britain. She began royal engagements alongside Harry, traveling to countries like Australia, Fiji, and Tonga. She launched charitable initiatives, including a cookbook supporting the women affected by the Grenfell Tower fire. She spoke about empowering women and girls, about breaking down barriers, about using her platform for good. But behind the scenes, cracks were already forming. Staff members began leaving their positions with unusual frequency. Reports emerged of early morning emails, exacting standards, and what some described as difficult working conditions. Meghan's relationship with her father deteriorated publicly, with Thomas Markle giving increasingly bitter interviews about being cut off from his daughter's life. Her half-siblings joined the media circus, selling stories and making accusations. The British tabloids seized on every misstep, real or perceived, from how she held her baby bump to the cost of her wardrobe to her decision to close her own car door at public events. In March 2019, rumors began circulating about tension between Meghan and Kate, about arguments during Princess Charlotte's bridesmaid dress fitting, about territorial disputes over staff and resources. While the truth of these reports remains contested, the narrative took hold: the difficult American actress versus the poised future queen. Harry and William, once inseparable brothers united in grief over their mother's death, were said to be growing apart, their bond strained by their wives' inability to form a close relationship. Then came the breaking point. In January 2020, just 20 months after their fairy tale wedding, Harry and Meghan announced their decision to step back as senior members of the royal family. The statement, released on their own Instagram account without consultation with the Queen, blindsided Buckingham Palace. They spoke of wanting to become financially independent, to split their time between the United Kingdom and North America, to continue supporting the Queen while carving out a progressive new role within the institution. The response was swift and decisive. Emergency meetings were called. Statements were issued. By January 18, 2020, an agreement was reached. Harry and Meghan would step back from royal duties entirely, no longer represent the Queen, and repay the £2.4 million spent on renovating their home, Frogmore Cottage. They would keep their titles but not use their HRH styles. They would relocate to North America and pursue financial independence through private ventures. What they couldn't have known then was how completely the door would close behind them, or how difficult the path ahead would be. The couple initially relocated to Vancouver Island in Canada, then to Los Angeles as the COVID-19 pandemic shut down the world in March 2020. They settled in the wealthy enclave of Montecito, California, purchasing a $14 million mansion on 5.4 acres. They needed income, security, and a platform to tell their story on their own terms. That's where Netflix entered the picture. In September 2020, the couple announced a multi-year partnership with the streaming giant, reportedly worth between $100 million and $150 million. The deal would see them produce documentaries, docuseries, feature films, scripted shows, and children's programming through their production company, Archewell Productions. In a statement at the time, Harry and Meghan spoke about wanting to create content that informs, but also gives hope, highlighting diverse voices and sharing powerful stories through a truthful and relatable lens. Netflix executives were betting on the couple's global star power, their unique insider perspective on royal life, and their ability to generate the kind of buzz that translates into subscriber growth. The deal made headlines around the world. Harry and Meghan had secured their financial independence. They would no longer need the sovereign grant. They were free to pursue their vision of modern celebrity philanthropy, combining entertainment, activism, and entrepreneurship. The first major project to emerge from the partnership was Harry and Meghan, a 6-part documentary series released in December 2022. Directed by Liz Garbus and featuring intimate home video footage and interviews, the series told the couple's love story from their perspective. They spoke about racist media coverage, about feeling unsupported by the palace, about the trauma of losing privacy and security. The series broke Netflix viewership records, becoming one of the platform's most watched documentary releases ever. 8.1 million households watched the series in its first 4 days, but critical reception was mixed at best. While some viewers appreciated hearing directly from Harry and Meghan, others accused them of playing the victim, of profiting from royal connections while claiming to want privacy, of contradicting earlier statements about not wanting to talk about their exit from royal life. The series included controversial claims about palace staff planting negative stories, about family members refusing to defend Meghan against press attacks, about feeling trapped and desperate during their final months as working royals. The backlash in the United Kingdom was severe. Support for the couple, already declining since their departure, plummeted further. The late Queen Elizabeth II had died in September 2022, just months before the series' release, and many Britons found the timing insensitive and the content disrespectful to her memory. Harry's brother William and sister-in-law Catherine declined to watch the series, according to sources close to the couple. The rift between the brothers, already significant, seemed irreparable. Still, Netflix had gotten what it paid for: global attention, millions of views, and endless media coverage. But the question remained: what would Harry and Meghan produce next? The platform needed more than one successful documentary series to justify the massive investment. They needed a steady stream of content that would keep subscribers engaged and attract new viewers. This is where the trouble truly began. According to entertainment industry sources speaking in late 2024, Netflix executives had been growing increasingly frustrated with the slow pace of content development from Archewell Productions. Beyond the Harry and Meghan documentary, the couple had produced Live to Lead, a docuseries featuring interviews with global leaders, and Heart of Invictus, a series about athletes competing in Harry's adaptive sports competition for wounded veterans. While Heart of Invictus received positive reviews for its storytelling and emotional depth, neither series generated anywhere near the viewership or cultural impact of the couple's first documentary. The real problem, insiders suggested, was that Harry and Meghan's most valuable commodity was themselves, their own story, their insider royal perspective. But that well had run dry. They'd told their story in the Netflix documentary. They'd repeated key themes in Harry's memoir, Spare, released in January 2023, which became one of the fastest-selling nonfiction books in history. They'd sat down for interviews with Oprah Winfrey, for podcasts, for magazine features. How many times could they revisit the same grievances, the same wounds, the same narrative of victimization and escape? Netflix needed the couple to move beyond their personal drama and create compelling content about other subjects. But here's where Meghan's vision for a lifestyle brand collided with the realities of the streaming platform's needs. Meghan had long spoken about wanting to revive her lifestyle blog, The Tig in some form, to position herself as a trusted voice on wellness, cooking, fashion, and entertaining. She'd built a following before joining the royal family with content about accessible luxury, self-care, and mindful living. Why couldn't she do the same thing with Netflix's resources and global reach? The result was With Love, Meghan, the cooking and lifestyle special that would become her final Netflix appearance. Filmed throughout 2023, the special promised to take viewers inside Meghan's Montecito home, sharing her holiday traditions, cooking tips, and entertaining philosophy. Early promotional materials suggested the special would feature celebrity guests, elaborate table settings, and the kind of aspirational content that had made lifestyle queens like Martha Stewart and Ina Garten household names. But when the special finally emerged in late November 2024, released early and with minimal promotion, viewers were shocked by what they saw, or rather, by what they didn't see. The special felt hollow, performative, disconnected from any authentic reality. Meghan moved through a rented mansion, not her actual home, preparing food that would apparently go uneaten by any real guests. She spoke in platitudes about connection and family, while visibly estranged from her own father, her half-siblings, and most of Harry's family. She arranged flowers, decorated a tree, and prepared elaborate dishes while wearing designer clothes and jewelry worth thousands of dollars, all while claiming to represent accessible, relatable hospitality. Critics were savage. One reviewer noted that Meghan's attempt at lifestyle content revealed her fundamental misunderstanding of what makes such programming work. Martha Stewart succeeded because she taught real skills with genuine expertise. Ina Garten connected with audiences through authentic warmth and self-deprecating humor. Even Gwyneth Paltrow's often mocked Goop empire provided consistent content and clear point of view. Meghan's special offered none of this. It was too polished to feel genuine, too generic to be memorable, too disconnected from her actual life to provide real insight. The inclusion of Harry's brief cameo only highlighted the awkwardness. He appeared uncomfortable, almost reluctant, thanking the crew and accepting thanks from Meghan for showing up. For a couple who had built their public brand on being deeply in love, fiercely united against outside attacks, and devoted to building a new life together, the distance between them in this moment was striking. Body language experts analyzing the footage noted the lack of physical warmth, the formal quality of their interaction, the sense that Harry was fulfilling an obligation rather than sharing a genuine moment with his wife. Even more damning were Meghan's comments about family traditions and nostalgic holiday memories. She stood before a Christmas tree, discussing how ornaments tell the story of a family, how they mark milestones and preserve precious memories across generations. The irony was impossible to miss. This was a woman who had cut off nearly her entire family, who hadn't spoken to her father in years despite his declining health and repeated pleas for reconciliation, who had allowed her children to grow up without knowing their grandfather or most of their cousins. What kind of family story was told by the absence of those ornaments, those relationships, those connections? Royal commentators noted the stark contrast with Catherine, Princess of Wales, who released her annual Christmas Carol service special around the same time. Catherine's Together at Christmas featured a heartfelt message about community, service, and the quiet acts of kindness that create meaningful change. She wrote about how our lives are woven together like the roots of trees sharing strength beneath the soil, about the softness of the season that reminds us that what we do matters. The message was genuine, moving, focused entirely outward on helping others rather than promoting a personal brand. No commercial partnerships, no product placements, just service. The comparison was inevitable and devastating for Meghan. Here were two women who had married into the same family, taken on the same extraordinary privileges and responsibilities, faced similar media scrutiny and public pressure. One had adapted, grown, and found ways to use her platform for genuine good while maintaining family relationships and royal duties. The other had fled, complained, and attempted to monetize her royal connections while severing nearly every meaningful relationship in her life. By December 20th, 2024, multiple entertainment industry sources confirmed what many had suspected. Netflix would not be renewing their partnership with Harry and Meghan when the current contract expires. The streaming giant had grown tired of the drama, the slow content production, the diminishing returns on their massive investment. More importantly, they'd realized that the couple's brand had become toxic in key markets. While they maintained supporters, particularly in the United States, their favorability ratings in the United Kingdom had collapsed to historic lows. They were now more unpopular than Prince Andrew, the disgraced Duke of York who had been forced out of public life over his association with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The failure of With Love, Meghan represented the final straw. Netflix had given the Duchess every resource, every opportunity to prove she could create compelling content beyond simply talking about herself and her grievances against the royal family. She'd failed. The special generated minimal viewership, negative reviews, and widespread mockery on social media. Commentators joked about the hygiene concerns of Meghan mixing food with her elaborate rings, nicknaming her Salmonella Sussex after she handled ingredients without proper food safety protocols. The jokes were cruel, but they reflected a deeper truth. The public had stopped taking Meghan seriously as a content creator, as a lifestyle expert, as anything beyond a former royal family member who wouldn't stop talking about how badly she'd been treated. What makes this failure even more significant is the window it provides into the state of Harry and Meghan's marriage. Royal insiders and sources close to the couple have been quietly suggesting for months that all is not well in the Montecito mansion. The couple rarely appears together anymore outside of carefully staged photo opportunities. Harry has been traveling solo increasingly often, attending charity events and sports competitions without Meghan by his side. When they do appear together, the easy affection and united front from their early days seems forced, performed for cameras rather than genuine. The Netflix debacle has reportedly intensified existing tensions. Harry, according to sources, never wanted to be a Hollywood content producer. He'd envisioned using the platform to highlight causes he cared about, particularly veterans' issues and conservation. But he'd gotten pulled into Meghan's vision of building a lifestyle empire, of becoming a celebrity entrepreneur in the mold of the Kardashians or other reality stars who parlayed fame into business success. The strategy wasn't working, and Harry could see it. He was watching his reputation, his relationships with his family, and his standing in the United Kingdom crumble, all in service of a dream that was never his to begin with. Meghan, meanwhile, has reportedly grown frustrated with what she sees as insufficient support from Harry. She'd expected him to be her champion, her defender, her partner in building this new life. Instead, she's faced criticism for nearly every decision, watched her attempts at entrepreneurship fail repeatedly, and seen public opinion turn decisively against her. Her podcast with Spotify was canceled after just one season when the company declined to renew the partnership, with Spotify executives reportedly describing working with the couple as difficult and their content as disappointing. Her lifestyle brand, American Riviera Orchard, announced with great fanfare in March 2024, has failed to launch any actual products. And now Netflix, the partnership that was supposed to secure their financial future and establish them as serious content creators, was ending. The couple's financial situation, while still comfortable by any normal standard, is reportedly becoming a concern. They have enormous expenses: the mortgage on their Montecito estate, security costs that run into the millions annually, staff salaries, travel expenses, and the need to maintain an image of success and wealth. Harry's memoir advance and speaking fees provided significant income, but book sales have declined sharply after the initial rush. Meghan's brand deals have dried up as companies grow wary of associating with someone so polarizing. Without Netflix's guaranteed payments, the couple will need to find new revenue streams, and fast. This financial pressure is creating a toxic dynamic in the marriage, according to sources. Harry reportedly feels guilty about the income pressure, about his inability to provide the kind of security and stability he'd promised Meghan when they left royal life. Meghan reportedly feels resentful that Harry's family connections, the one asset they'd tried to monetize, have become so damaged that they're now a liability rather than a strength. She'd given up her acting career, her independence, her own family relationships, to marry into this family and support his vision of service and making a difference. Now she's in California, professionally adrift, financially insecure, and watching her dreams of becoming a mogul like Gwyneth Paltrow or Jessica Alba slip away. The couple's parenting approach has reportedly become another source of tension. They have 2 young children, Archie Harrison, born on May 6, 2019, and Lilibet Diana, born on June 4, 2021. Both children have been kept largely hidden from public view, a decision Harry and Meghan have defended as protecting their privacy. But sources suggest the couple disagrees about how much exposure is appropriate. Meghan reportedly wants to begin featuring the children more in content, seeing them as humanizing and relatably content for her brand. Harry, traumatized by his own childhood in the public eye, is reportedly adamantly opposed to using his children for commercial purposes. The children themselves are growing up in an unusual situation. They hold royal titles, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, but they don't know the family those titles represent. They've rarely met their grandfather, King Charles III, and have virtually no relationship with their Uncle William, Aunt Catherine, or cousins George, Charlotte, and Louis. They're being raised in California, far from the country their titles represent, with no apparent plans for them to learn about British history, culture, or their unique heritage. It's a strange limbo, neither fully American nor genuinely royal, disconnected from both their mother's and father's roots. As 2024 drew to a close, the couple faced an uncertain future. Without the Netflix partnership, they'd need to find new ways to maintain their lifestyle and public profile. Meghan had reportedly been in talks with several networks about potential shows, but her track record of failed projects made her a risky investment. Harry had been approached about more memoir projects, but publishers worried that he'd already told his story and that public appetite for more royal revelations had dried up. The couple still had their Archewell Foundation, their non-profit organization, but its activities had been limited and its impact unclear. Perhaps most significantly, the couple faced a choice about their relationship with the royal family. Reconciliation seemed increasingly unlikely after years of public attacks, tell-all interviews, and burned bridges. Harry had not spoken to his brother William in months, according to reports. His relationship with his father, King Charles, was strained at best, with sporadic phone calls but no real warmth or trust. The couple had been excluded from major family events or had chosen not to attend. It wasn't always clear which. They'd spent Christmas in California, far from the royal gathering at Sandringham, marking another year of separation and estrangement. But staying on their current path wasn't sustainable either. The public was tired of their complaints. The media had turned decisively against them. Business partners were walking away. Their brand, once valuable and full of potential, had become tarnished, perhaps irreparably. Something had to change. The failure of With Love, Meghan represented more than just a bad television special. It was a symbol of everything that had gone wrong since that hopeful wedding day on May 19, 2018. It revealed the emptiness at the heart of their California dream, the disconnect between the life they'd promised themselves and the reality they'd created. Meghan had wanted to be authentic, but the special felt fake. She'd wanted to celebrate family, but she'd estranged herself from nearly everyone in her family. She'd wanted to seem relatable and accessible, but she came across as privileged and out of touch. She'd wanted to launch a lifestyle empire, but she'd failed to create anything anyone actually wanted to watch or buy. And Harry? He'd watched his wife fail on a global stage. Again. He'd fulfilled his contractual obligation, showing up for that awkward cameo, supporting her even as he must have known the special was a disaster. He'd sacrificed his family relationships, his royal position, his security, his home country, all to give Meghan the freedom to pursue her dreams. And those dreams kept collapsing, kept failing to materialize into anything sustainable or meaningful. Royal biographers who have studied the couple's trajectory note several key turning points where different decisions might have led to different outcomes. If Meghan had been willing to adapt more to royal protocols, to accept guidance from experienced palace staff, to build relationships slowly rather than demanding immediate change, if Harry had been willing to seek genuine therapy for his unresolved trauma rather than blaming all his problems on his family and the media, if the couple had been willing to stay in the United Kingdom to maintain those family connections, to pursue their modernizing vision from within the institution rather than burning it down from the outside, if they'd been willing to accept that global celebrity and constant media attention are incompatible with claims of wanting privacy, but they didn't make those choices. They chose confrontation over compromise. They chose victimhood over accountability. They chose commercial exploitation over genuine service. And now they're facing the consequences: a failed Netflix partnership, a damaged brand, financial pressure, marriage strain, and 2 young children growing up disconnected from half their heritage. The late Queen Elizabeth II, who died on September 8, 2022, at the age of 96, reportedly never fully recovered from the hurt of Harry and Meghan's departure and subsequent attacks on the institution she devoted her entire life to serving. In her final months, weakened by age and health problems, she watched her grandson make accusations on television, in interviews, in a memoir that painted her staff as racist and incompetent, her institution as cruel and outdated, her family as cold and unsupportive. She watched him profit from his royal connections while claiming to want nothing to do with royal life. She watched him and his wife play the victim while living in a multi-million-dollar mansion and signing lucrative entertainment deals. The Queen's approach to Harry and Meghan's betrayal was characteristic. She said very little publicly, maintained her dignity, and continued doing her duty until the very end. But those close to her noted the sadness, the disappointment, the sense that she'd failed somehow to keep the family together. She'd welcomed Meghan warmly, given her opportunities to adapt and succeed, defended the couple when criticism became excessive, and it hadn't been enough. King Charles III, who ascended to the throne upon his mother's death, has taken a different approach. He's reportedly drawn a clear line. Harry and Meghan are welcome to return to the family fold, but they must stop the public attacks, end the commercial exploitation of their royal connections, and accept that trust must be rebuilt slowly through actions, not words. Harry has reportedly rejected these terms, insisting that his family must apologize to Meghan first, must acknowledge the racism and mistreatment she experienced. The impasse continues. Prince William, now heir to the throne and deeply protective of his own young family, has reportedly written off his brother entirely. He doesn't read Harry's interviews or watch his documentaries. He doesn't respond to messages or attempts at communication. As far as William is concerned, Harry made his choice, and that choice placed him outside the family. Catherine, the Princess of Wales, who battled cancer throughout 2024, has been even more firm in her position. She will not allow Harry and Meghan anywhere near her children, according to sources, viewing them as a toxic influence and a security risk given their habit of recording private conversations and sharing them publicly. This is the legacy of Harry and Meghan's California dream: broken relationships, failed projects, financial pressure, and a marriage under strain. The Netflix rejection isn't just a business decision, it's a verdict on their entire post-royal strategy, a judgment that they have nothing of value to offer beyond their ability to complain about the family they left behind. And audiences have grown tired of that narrative, tired of the self-pity, tired of the hypocrisy of demanding privacy while courting publicity, tired of the commercialization of trauma and grievance. As 2025 begins, the question facing Harry and Meghan is simple. What now? Do they continue down this path, finding new ways to monetize their story until every last drop of commercial value has been extracted? Do they attempt a reconciliation with the royal family, admitting that their exit strategy hasn't worked and accepting whatever terms might be offered? Do they retreat from public life entirely, raising their children quietly and ending the constant media presence? Do they separate, each pursuing their own path forward? Royal watchers are divided on what the couple will do next. Some believe Meghan will never give up her quest for lifestyle guru status, that she'll continue launching brands and seeking content deals until something finally succeeds. Others think Harry will eventually return to the United Kingdom, unable to bear permanent estrangement from his family and his homeland. Some predict the marriage will end within 2 years, unable to survive the pressure of failed dreams and financial strain. Others believe they're trapped together now, too financially interdependent and too publicly committed to separate without admitting defeat. What seems clear is that the fairy tale is over. The dream of becoming progressive royal influencers, beloved celebrity philanthropists, successful content creators, it's died. The Netflix rejection is just the most visible sign of a broader truth that Harry and Meghan don't have anything the public wants anymore. Their story has been told. Their grievances have been aired. Their royal connections have been exploited to the point of worthlessness. They're approaching middle age, living in California, raising 2 children who will grow up confused about their identity and heritage, facing an uncertain financial and professional future. The saddest part? It didn't have to be this way. Harry and Meghan had opportunities that most people could never dream of. They had global platforms, financial resources, public goodwill, important causes to champion, the ability to make real differences in people's lives. But they chose to focus on their own hurt feelings, their own perceived victimization, their own commercial opportunities. They chose to burn bridges rather than build them, to cash in rather than serve, to complain rather than create. And now they're watching their final Netflix special disappear without a trace, their contract expiring without renewal, their Hollywood dreams collapsing around them. Harry makes that awkward cameo, fulfilling his obligation, supporting his wife even as her project fails. And Meghan stands before her rented Christmas tree, talking about family memories and holiday traditions, apparently oblivious to the profound irony of her words, to the relationships she's destroyed, to the children growing up without knowing their grandfather or their royal cousins, to the future she's lost in pursuit of a lifestyle brand that nobody wants. Catherine, Princess of Wales, wrote in her Christmas message that simple acts of care, a moment of listening, a word of comfort, a friendly conversation, a helping hand, presence. These simple acts might seem small, but they contribute to the beautiful tapestry of life to which we all belong. She wrote about how our lives are woven together, how we're drawn by an instinctive pull toward belonging and connection. She wrote about reaching out to one another with generosity of heart, understanding, and hope. Those words, written by a woman who has faced her own challenges, including a cancer diagnosis in 2024, reveal what Harry and Meghan lost when they chose to leave the royal family and pursue their California dream. They lost connection. They lost belonging. They lost the opportunity to be part of something larger than themselves, something with meaning and purpose beyond commercial success. They traded the beautiful tapestry of family and service for a rented mansion and a failed lifestyle special. As viewers watched with love Meghan in late November 2024, many felt not just disappointment or irritation, but something deeper: sadness. Sadness for what might have been. Sadness for 2 people who seemed to have everything but couldn't appreciate what they had until it was gone. Sadness for children growing up without extended family. Sadness for the late Queen Elizabeth, who spent her final years watching her family fracture. Sadness for King Charles, trying to balance his love for his son with his duty to the institution. Sadness for Prince William, who lost the brother who was once his closest friend and ally. And sadness for Harry and Meghan themselves, 2 people who wanted so badly to write their own story, to control their own narrative, to escape the constraints of royal life, only to discover that freedom without purpose is just another kind of prison. That success without service is hollow. That wealth without wisdom leads nowhere meaningful. That you can't build a lasting legacy on grievance and commercial exploitation. The Netflix rejection is just the latest chapter in a story that began with such hope on that wedding day in May 2018. But it's not the final chapter. Harry and Meghan still have choices to make, paths to choose, opportunities to change direction. They're still young enough to rebuild, to reconcile, to find new purpose. Their children are still young enough to form relationships with their extended family, to learn about their heritage, to understand the extraordinary privilege and responsibility that comes with being born into one of the world's most famous families. But time is running out. The public's patience has expired. The commercial opportunities are disappearing. The royal family's willingness to forgive and forget is being tested beyond its limits. And the marriage itself shows signs of strain that may prove insurmountable. What did Meghan Markle and Prince Harry really want when they left royal life in January 2020? They wanted freedom, they said. They wanted financial independence. They wanted to protect their privacy and their mental health. They wanted to raise their children away from the royal fishbowl. They wanted to serve causes they cared about without institutional constraints. They wanted to tell their story on their own terms. 5 years later, what do they have? They have freedom, technically, but it feels more like isolation. They have financial independence, for now, but it's precarious and depends on continued commercial exploitation of the very royal connections they claim to have left behind. They have privacy when they choose it, but they've forfeited it so often for commercial purposes that the claim rings hollow. They have their children, raised in California away from their royal heritage, growing up disconnected from half their family. They've served some causes, but their charitable work has been overshadowed by their personal drama and commercial ventures. They've told their story repeatedly, but each telling has diminished rather than enhanced their standing. The rejection by Netflix, quiet but decisive, represents a turning point. It forces Harry and Meghan to confront a truth they've been avoiding. Their value in the entertainment marketplace was always tied to their royal connections, and those connections only remain valuable as long as the public cared about their perspective. But the public has moved on. The royal family has survived their departure and their attacks. The Queen has passed away, taking with her any hope that Harry and Meghan might be welcomed back without preconditions. King Charles and Prince William have drawn clear boundaries. Catherine has recovered from cancer and continues her work with grace and dignity, providing a stark contrast to Meghan's failed attempts at lifestyle branding. So where do Harry and Meghan go from here? What comes after the Netflix rejection? After With Love, Meghan disappears from the cultural conversation without a trace. After the fairy tale ending they'd promised themselves fails to materialize, do they double down on their current strategy, seeking new streaming deals and brand partnerships despite the mounting evidence that no one wants what they're selling? Do they attempt reconciliation with the royal family, accepting whatever terms might be offered in exchange for re-establishing those severed connections? Do they pivot entirely, pursuing entirely new careers and identities disconnected from their royal past? Or do they face the possibility that their marriage, strained by professional failures and financial pressures, may not survive? These are the questions facing the couple as 2025 begins. As their Netflix contract expires, as their Hollywood dreams crumble, as their children grow older and begin asking difficult questions about why they don't see their grandfather or their cousins. These are the questions that will determine whether Harry and Meghan's story ends in redemption or in continued decline, in reconciliation or in permanent estrangement, in renewed purpose or in bitter regret. The late Queen Elizabeth II once said that grief is the price we pay for love. Perhaps disappointment is the price we pay for dreams that don't align with reality. Harry and Meghan dreamed of freedom, but they built a different kind of cage. They dreamed of financial independence, but they created financial pressure. They dreamed of control over their narrative, but they lost control over their own lives. They dreamed of happiness in California, but they found isolation and professional failure. The tragedy isn't that they left the royal family. The tragedy is that they could have left with dignity, maintaining relationships and pursuing meaningful work, finding that balance between independence and connection that so many people navigate successfully. Instead, they chose scorched earth, burning every bridge, attacking every relationship, commercializing every grievance. And now they're discovering that you can't build a sustainable future on destruction, that commercial success requires more than royal titles and victim narratives, that happiness can't be achieved by constantly blaming others for your unhappiness. With Love, Meghan was supposed to be a new beginning, the launch of a lifestyle empire that would secure their financial future and establish Meghan as a trusted voice on entertaining, cooking, and homemaking. Instead, it became an ending, the final chapter of their Netflix career, a symbol of everything that's gone wrong since they left royal life. The special revealed the emptiness at the heart of their California dream, the disconnect between image and reality, the impossibility of building authenticity on a foundation of estrangement and commercial exploitation. As Harry made that brief, awkward cameo, thanking the crew and accepting thanks from his wife, viewers could see the strain. This isn't what he signed up for. This isn't the life he wanted when he married Meghan in that fairy tale wedding in May 2018. He wanted to protect her from the fate that befell his mother. He wanted to give her the freedom to be herself, to pursue her passions, to avoid the crushing constraints of royal protocol. But protection became enabling. Freedom became isolation. Passion became commercial desperation. And somewhere along the way, the love story became something else entirely. A business partnership under strain, a marriage tested by failure, a fairy tale with a distinctly unhappy ending. What will you remember about Harry and Meghan's journey from Kensington Palace to Montecito? Will you remember the hope of that wedding day, or the bitterness of their departure? Will you remember their claims of wanting privacy, or their constant media presence? Will you remember their charitable intentions, or their commercial exploitations? Will you remember the fairy tale, or the reality that followed? Share your thoughts. The story of Harry and Meghan, of royal dreams and California disappointments, of Netflix millions and lifestyle special failures, it's a modern tragedy playing out in real time. It's a reminder that happiness can't be purchased, that success requires more than privilege and platform, that relationships matter more than commercial opportunities, that service to something larger than yourself provides meaning that lifestyle brands never can. And as we watch their Netflix career end not with a bang but with a whimper, as with love, Meghan fades from memory. As the couple faces an uncertain future, we're left with questions that only they can answer. Will they learn from their failures? Will they find their way back to what matters? Will their children ever know their grandfather, their uncle, their cousins? Will Harry and Meghan's marriage survive the pressure of disappointed dreams and mounting criticism? Will they ever find the happiness they've been seeking since that January day in 2020 when they announced their intention to step back from royal life? The Netflix rejection suggests that at least one door has closed. But what doors might still open? What choices remain available? What redemption might still be possible? These questions hang in the air as Harry and Meghan face the consequences of 5 years of decisions that prioritized grievance over gratitude, commercial opportunity over service, control over connection. The answers will determine not just their future, but the future of their children, the evolution of their relationships with the royal family, and ultimately, how history will judge this chapter of royal history. Like and subscribe to stay updated as this story continues to unfold, because one thing is certain, the story of Harry and Meghan is far from over. The Netflix chapter may have closed, but new chapters are being written every day. And we'll be here to help you understand what it all means, to provide context and perspective, to examine the choices and their consequences. Because this story matters not just as royal gossip, but as a cautionary tale about the price of fame, the importance of family, and the dangerous illusion that happiness can be found by running away from your problems rather than facing them with courage, humility, and grace.